Get the cream, precious metals or the crypto things. Your bars are light like the one that's on a Smith machine. But my Maxwell and I ain't speaking about the pretty wings. Watch a potty.
Welcome everyone to 3 Count Commentaries. I am MagMongoSlade. We about to go through Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, aka Dewey, BKA DJ, CKA The Rock. He is going to describe to us the details of how the WrestleMania main event came to be, which includes some passive-aggressive comments, and also, but here's the thing, I just can't hold it anymore. Why are they talking about ongoing storylines? Like, this used to be a thing where you wouldn't hear about this stuff for 20 years. None of this stuff would be confirmed. Now they're confirming things 2 days after the show. WrestleMania was literally 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago by the time you hear this. And everybody's out there spilling their guts about what they're trying to do now. It's like, Jesus Christ, we used to wait forever to get shoot interviews or for somebody to do an interview and talk about this, but now they're running to ESPN and Ariel Helwani and anybody else who will listen. It's annoying. It really is annoying. It's to do damage control, because while WrestleMania was financially successful, it was creatively not so much. And The Rock's name was attached to this, and people were very upset that The Rock wasn't involved in this, as he should have been. So now he's going to try to explain it. He's going to try to explain himself away. Why the final boss ain't got nothing to do with this, which is stupid. Let's get into this clip, though. Jesus Christ.
He's just talking the truth. And he said, hey, I'm fed up with this shit in terms of this really messed up relationship that we had. Okay, so with the fans. So I got a call about a month before Elimination Chamber. I get a call from Ari Emanuel, who we know owns TKO. TKO owns WWE. He's been my longtime business partner and one of my best friends for over 20 years. He said, we need help at Elimination Chamber. Ticket sales are a little slow, but beyond that, he goes, what we are finding is with Elimination Chamber, it's become the pay-per-view that's been interesting. Fans have had fun, but it's also the conduit to WrestleMania. And how do we create a Elimination Chamber that people must tune in to see? How do we create that? And he goes, right now, we don't have that.
Okay, so who's the creative director of WWE? Well, that would be Triple H. Why would Ari Emanuel be calling The Rock and saying, hey, guess what, Dewey, my good buddy of 20 years, DJ? Elimination Chamber, well, the ticket sales ain't doing too good. You know, John Cena's on that show. CM Punk's on that show. But it ain't doing too good. So whose fault is it? Isn't that the fault of the creative director? So, the Elimination Chamber wasn't doing very good. He says he got this a month before Elimination Chamber. Well, Ari, I hate to break it to you, but I'm pretty sure a big problem with that is the prices. I'm pretty sure prices is one of the reasons why things are so tough. You have to give people a real reason to part with their money. But he called Dwayne because, I guess, talking to that thick head, big nose idiot Triple H didn't work out. You know, Triple H starts going on about ice cream and everything. I mean, it's just like Triple H things, you know. And so he called Dwayne and said, Dwayne, we need some help. And he immediately starts getting his big brain working, you know, trying to figure out how to turn this thing into a attraction. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what do you hire Triple H for? If he has CM Punk and John Cena and all the other players, and he cannot manage to create a compelling storyline for Elimination Chamber, let alone a compelling storyline that leads us to WrestleMania. Okay, so why do we have this guy? Why does he exist? Eventually that question is going to come up, right? Eventually the question of, why is the guy who is the head of creative, if we keep having to call The Rock to come up with ideas? Let's let The Rock run creative then. Simple. Cut out the middleman. What do we need this guy for?
And he said, will the final boss show up? I said, well, let me give it some thought and let me get back to you. So I gave it some thought. I got back to Ari. I got back to Triple H and Nick. We had a call. And I said, I have an idea. What's most important to the final boss? The most important thing to the final boss isn't titles. It's not money. It's not fame. Been there, done that, and grateful for that. Final boss wants your soul. And what does that mean? What that means, that doesn't mean, hey, the final boss wants you to act like this, be like this at his beck and call and treat you like crap and make you do all these things that are unbecoming or embarrassing. That's not what the final boss wants. That's not how the final boss flies. No. What that means is whatever you could think of in your head. So Cody Rhodes, whatever dreams you have, whatever ambitions you have, even if they're dark, even if they're amazing and they're full of light, even if they're scary, whatever those are, you tell the final boss he's going to make it all happen. You wave that magic wand, he'll make it all happen. So when it comes to giving me your soul, giving the final boss your soul, that is what you want, not what the final boss wants. And so what does the final boss get out of that? I get your soul for life. That's what the final boss gets out of that. No, so now we go into Elimination Chamber.
All right, I got to tell you, I like the idea. The idea is good, right? It's just basic temptation story, which works throughout antiquity. It's pretty simple. I liked it when the idea came up. You know, it's a good idea. And utilizing himself in that role with all of his money and power and experience and all that, it's a good hook. So if he came up with this on his own, he's a pretty smart guy.
With this idea of, will Cody Rhodes sell his soul to the final boss? And my thought at that time, and you and I might have even I know we talked about this, was it was a litmus test to find out, in my opinion, how will fans respond if Cody sold his soul to the final boss. Let's get a temperature check on this. Let's establish it. Let's anchor it in. And you come to find out that there were a lot of fans who were saying, sell your soul. Yeah. This shit is going to be crazy. Whatever it is, it's compelling. It's going to be great. Let's do it. Sell your soul. So I was an advocate of that, not turning Cody heel soon. But eventually, down the line, I like the idea of that because Cody's a smart guy, he's an intelligent guy, he's a ring general, and I think this idea of you give him a reason to turn way down the road, by the way. You give him a reason to turn, not based on titles, not based on this, but it's his soul and what that means, that affects generations. It's transcendent beyond pro wrestling, and fans were loving it.
All right, so let's pause right here. So The Rock comes up with this idea of the final boss, which is himself, of course. He talks about it like it's a different person. And wanting Cody's soul. Now, this is, I don't know, the second time that The Rock has been brought in the middle of WrestleMania season and said, hey, could you help us do this thing? We got a thing. We want to do this thing. Last year, it was supposed to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns. Everybody knows this. And for the second year in a row, this somehow affects Cody Rhodes. And then all the brothering starts. Everybody's a senator now. So there's the politics. Who wants to do what? And who's going to do what with whom? The Rock is obsessed with Cody. He wants to do stuff with Cody. But Cody doesn't want to do what The Rock wants him to do. He didn't want to sit on the sideline last year so The Rock can wrestle Roman Reigns. And he didn't want to turn heel this year and sell his soul to The Rock. So 2 years in a row, The Rock comes in to save WrestleMania, for the most part. Let's put it in quotations. To come in to save WrestleMania. His idea affects Cody Rhodes. And twice Cody Rhodes shot it down. So, the first year The Rock went on with it, right? He went on ahead and worked the tag team match. It was a pivot. And he teamed with Roman Reigns rather than fighting Roman Reigns. Okay. This year, he chose not to participate at all. If you're not going to do what I want you to do, then fuck it. Which I actually, I don't have a problem with that, if we're being honest. I mean, if the tickets ain't moving, and I don't think Cody even wrestled on that show anyway, and he wasn't booked to wrestle on that show, then it wasn't his problem. You know, like, he wasn't booked to draw the show, so it wasn't his problem. Now, he's booked to draw WrestleMania, but it's the creative guys who have to come up with an opponent for him. And as we've seen from some of the clips from that WWE Unreal show, he was always going to wrestle John Cena. So the idea of John Cena being the opponent for WrestleMania was known in advance. However, a lot of the Triple H, knee benders, let's say, have been saying, oh, the John Cena heel turn, it was planned a long time ago. Well, that's not what we're hearing. The Rock is telling us that this whole thing came together pretty much a month before Elimination Chamber. Because Jesus Christ. He was the second option, John Cena was. Oh my goodness.
As we got closer to Elimination Chamber, we were kicking ideas around, myself and Triple H, and that's the fun part, by the way. I've been kicking ideas around with Triple H for 20 years, dude. Just always having a great time with him and Nick and my team as well. And Triple H said, what about this? What about John turning?
Now, you notice The Rock skipped over the part about, he was talking about and was excited about the idea of Cody turning. Triple H is in the room like, what about John? Okay, how did we go from Cody to John? Who said no to Cody? That's who said no to Cody? Who got word that Cody didn't want to do it? See, it's not what they say, it's what they don't say sometimes.
I said, I love it. I love it. The next question is, you got to talk to John, see how he feels about it. And, in a moment where you have this shift and click moment, and it happened to me when...
You know what? I'm not about to listen to him talk about himself. So I had to skip forward to avoid DJ talking about himself, for God's sake. So to set the scene, he is about to try to explain John Cena's excitement for the heel turn. Now, at least we do know that John Cena was excited for the heel turn. We know this because Cena, long before he turned heel, he was discussing it. He had all these plans because it was supposed to be a heel turn years ago. And, of course, Triple H talked about how excited John Cena was for the heel turn. So Cody wasn't with it. So they decided to just get John to go with it.
Turning heel, but he's like, but you know what? There's an anchor here that I'm going to root it in, which is a real thing that I've been experiencing over the years, past 20, 25 years. So when we were moving forward with John, and this idea of him getting crowned at WrestleMania and becoming 17 and turning heel, and then being a heel champion, I knew then the best thing for the final boss, we've established this idea of Cody's soul. We can always come back to it. I did feel, and I made the call, I don't want to be involved in that. Step back. Let the final boss step back into the shadows. Let all the spotlight go to John. Let it go to Cody. Let's not make it about Cody's soul eventually or John's soul. No, let's let them do what they do. And I called John after Elimination Chamber, spoke to him, called Cody, and I said, I think the final boss's work is done. We've established it. We just pulled off the greatest angle in the history of professional wrestling, other than Hulk Hogan turning heel back in the 90s. I said, this is amazing. We have 6 weeks. Now, let's build. You guys go and crush it. And I'll be right there with you, and I'm always here if you need me. But I think it's best for the final boss not to be involved in that finish.
You don't want to do what I want you to do? I don't want to be involved. That's what he's saying, essentially. You guys did great. You guys do amazing. Go do what you do. I'm going to go over here because you guys didn't want to do what I wanted you to do. That's what I'm hearing. Again, it's not what you say, it's what you don't say. His idea got shot down. That's what it was. Ari Emanuel wanted The Rock on Elimination Chamber. We've established that. He gets a call from the big boss, right? Who says, I need you to show up at Elimination Chamber. Come up with something that you want to do. And he says, okay, I guess I'll do it. I'll do that, no problem. He comes up with this idea about Cody's soul. Everybody's like, okay, we don't care. We just want The Rock on this show. So they create this wonderful hook, but the wrestlers are going to be wrestlers. Cody wants to be Superman. He wants to be the babyface. He always wants to be the babyface. He wants to be his dad. He wants to be Dusty. He doesn't want to turn heel. He's not interested. Okay, so The Rock's involvement was dependent on Cody Rhodes cooperating. He decided not to cooperate. Now, at that point, The Rock says, the final boss is done. His work is done. How is his work done? How was his work done? Travis Scott was still involved. Well, how was his work done? I don't know. We don't know. Okay? But this is what he's saying. That he called and told them, I'm out. You guys got it from here. So this is why the story stopped being about Cody's soul. And it started being about John Cena's vendetta with the fans. Because that was John Cena's idea. And if you're going to get John Cena involved in this, you're going to get him to turn heel. Then he gets to do it on his own terms. And his terms is he wants to go out and say all the things that he's always wanted to say to the fans. That's his plan. That's his idea. Again, who is the head of creative in WWE? Why is this guy not making the decisions? Now, I get it. You want to ask John and see if he's into it. But it seemed like all of this happened and Triple H had no control over it. He didn't really have any control over it at all. It wasn't his idea. It was The Rock's idea. And because it was The Rock's idea, you can't finish somebody else's murder mystery. You can't finish somebody else's story. You don't know where it's going. You don't know what's going on with this idea. You don't know why he wanted to do it this way. So, Ari Emanuel keeps getting involved with the product, asking other people to come in, and then those people have creative control over what they do. And then the wrestlers are getting antsy because they don't have full creative control, but they have some. They have some leverage because they're the ones physically got to do the stuff. And they're resisting what The Rock wants to do. But The Rock is only there because Ari Emanuel wants him there. And because he wants to be loved, by the way. You know, The Rock can't stand for people to not like him. So, he's telling these guys, you guys don't want to do what I want you to do? Fine. Figure it out yourselves then. And just let them rot. That's crazy.
You guys go. So they had 6 weeks to plan for that. So I love the finish of the match. I would have finessed things a little differently on how they got there, but that's just me creatively. There are a lot of minds in the room. That's my thought. But still, ultimately, the bottom line was I love John getting 17. And I never had a concern about John pulling this off. My thoughts are always to Cody because of what we've established with him and his story and the kind of babyface that he is. So if done right, and I think if finessed right, and if nuanced right, down the road, that guy not only has an incredible babyface run again as champion, but also just an unheard of run as a heel.
Yeah.
Down the road.
Okay. The Rock wants Cody Rhodes to turn heel. The Rock is like you know? You, Joe Internet, you Cheeto eater, who is on Reddit, who reads Cage Match, who is booing Cody and AEW, The Rock is you. He's you. He's your guy. He's sitting around like, yeah, this Cody thing, he should be a heel, dog. And Cody's like, no, I refuse. I want to be a hero to the children. Don't you understand, Rocky? When your father was out there shuffling, throwing the big jab, and you were excited sitting in the front seat, that's how I felt when my dad was dropping the big elbow. That's what I want Liberty to feel. That her father is a hero. Yes, guy. Sheesh.
Bad thing.
No, well, they don't have to say anything like that to me. And they know when I come to them, and them meaning Triple H and Nick and Ari as well, and I lay this out and I say, hey, here's how I really feel it should go. We can insert Final Boss in the end of this finish, but then where do we go? There's other commitments that I have, and I want to also be careful that we're not overstepping and leading over our skis too much here. Can get involved in the finish, and I said, but why get involved in that finish when the spotlight should just be on, in my opinion, John 17, heel champion? What does 2025 look like if this man is saying he's going to ruin professional wrestling?
Let's pause it 1 second. I'm just now, he has a dinosaur behind him. Now, we know that Vince McMahon had a giant dinosaur head in his office. Is that the same dinosaur head that's behind The Rock right now? Because The Rock has a T-Rex head, a skeleton, like a fossil. Vince had one on the wall in his office. The Rock has one in whatever this area is here, and it's behind him. It just caught my attention. Is it a coincidence? I don't know. Anyway, so your boy Dewey is like, where do we go from here? It's like, ain't that's the part of the story you're supposed to figure out when you write it, right? Like, this is your idea, sir. You're the one who came up with this idea, sir, that some babyface was going to turn heel. You wanted Cody, so clearly you have an idea of what you wanted Cody to do as a heel champion after he sold his soul to you. All right, just replace that with John Cena. And you're like, you know what? Got commitments. Got to do some reshoots. Got movies to make. Got other monies to take care of. Can't get involved with this. Can't get involved with this finish. He just didn't want anything to do with an idea that he pitched that was turned down and then twisted and turned to what they wanted it to be. It wasn't his idea. He didn't want anything to do with it anymore. He's not going to say that because it looks like there's trouble in paradise. But here's the thing. The fact that he's on Pat McAfee right now discussing this tells everybody that there's trouble in paradise. There is absolutely a reason why The Rock is doing damage control for a very financially successful WrestleMania, but one that creatively pissed a lot of people off. There's a reason. It made them mad at him personally. Like, people are really mad at The Rock for not showing up. But he's coming out there like, no. Read between the lines, guys. It was my idea. They took it and changed it. And I was like, I don't want nothing to do with this no more. He can't say that, though, because then it would look bad at him, and then it would make it sense like he can be overruled by somebody, right? You don't want that. You don't want that. He's not the final boss then if he can be overruled. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Yeah, Ari Emanuel, he knows all about booking wrestling. Him and Nick Khan, they're geniuses when it comes to that booking wrestling stuff. All the time they spend doing it.
That to me is the anchoring storyline. It's not soul right now. Right now it's not. But by the way, we'll go back to it.
We'll still got it. Yeah. Still
we'll go back to soul. Look, I can't take the text that I got and from the guys that I got, who are these top guys who are saying, one in particular who I love is my guy. I call him the Superman of the company. He's like, listen, my soul's for sale when it's time. And I said, I love it. Let's do it. So, look, I love Travis Scott involved, and I'll tell you why. Because he loves wrestling. He's a huge fan, and he respects it. He's working his ass off. I know that he has plans to train with Booker T. I don't know if it's happening already. It might be. Not quite too sure there on his schedule, but he loves the business. Now,
pause. All right, so Triple H tells this story. I believe it was after WrestleMania about Travis Scott. Let me see if I can find it while I got your boy Dewey paused. Let's see what we got here. Let's see, because I believe. So Triple H says Scott comes back. He's like a kid at Christmas, giddy and laughing. He says he walked backstage tonight after he was done and was like, dude, I got to be serious. This is like my full-time job now. And I said, I'm telling you, 2 minutes later, I said, see you at work tomorrow. He loves it. So Travis Scott wants to be a wrestler. He's training with Booker T, according to The Rock. And Triple H says, like, oh, he thinks it's his full-time job. By the way, he did not show up on Raw. So, see you at work tomorrow? Huh? Really? Really, Triple H? You big-nosed, bald idiot. Where was Travis Scott on Monday Night Raw? Did anybody else see him? I didn't see him. Did you see him? I didn't see him. Where was he? Was he in between the seat cushions? You know, I don't know. I didn't see him. Anyway, we can't do this all night. And The Rock saying he ain't doing nothing, right? He's just coming up with all these excuses why he couldn't be there. The final boss this and the final boss that. It all boils down to simple. Ari Emanuel needed The Rock to use his name on this event. It was assumed by everybody that The Rock would be at WrestleMania. It was assumed that there would be something involving The Rock at WrestleMania, so you didn't need to promote The Rock for WrestleMania. Because it was assumed that he's part of the storyline that he would be there. And he wasn't. And that was disappointing to people. And people were mad because they spent a lot of money on those seats. And because The Rock knows if the people are mad at him, they get frustrated at him. And there's still a lot of people who are frustrated at him. There's a lot of fans who are saying they don't want The Rock to come back. Stop using this whole final boss thing. The constant stops and starts. You know, you come in, you leave. You know, at least Roman Reigns continues the stories that he's in. You know, at least John Cena, when he would leave and come back, he would continue a story that he's in. The Rock's just dropping stories. He's breaking kayfabe. He's hither and thither all the goddamn time. People are starting to wake up, and The Rock's magic is not working. Not working the way that he wanted it to. Now, it's always going to work on certain people. And then there's always certain things he can do to get people's attention. So it's not going to be like, oh yeah, the fans are going to turn their back on The Rock. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is there's a certain section of the audience who are definitely going to be less excited the next time The Rock shows up. Especially if he does something that does not involve this storyline. Like when he showed up at the Raw on Netflix and said that him and Cody were friends. After the whole Mama Rose blood on the belt thing and all that shit, right? People are going to be like, look, you're just doing stuff to get attention, to trick people, and to paying thousands of dollars for front row seats and seats for these shows. And it's not working, you know, and it's not going to work forever. It's just not going to. So, The Rock is, oh boy, he's in full damage control. And it didn't work. It didn't work really. A lot of people are actually turned on him after this because of the passive aggressive nature of the interview. Him basically being said he was brought in to save the road to WrestleMania because Triple H wasn't good enough. The idea that he's been obsessed with Cody turning heel. The idea that he put his own commitments, his other commitments first over wrestling, which of course he did. I'm not even mad at that. I'm mad about the drop in storylines. I'm mad about the lack of continuity, or your lack of involvement. But I'm not mad that you want to prioritize your other career. You're not a wrestler anymore. So I'm not mad at that part. But some people are. Some people are very frustrated by that. And this didn't help. This was supposed to be a damage control interview. I don't think it did a good job. I don't think his mojo is working as much as he thinks it does. But let me know what you guys think. And I'll talk to you folks later.